All right, welcome to tonight's meeting, December 4th. First thing you should have is a copy of last week's minute, or 2 weeks ago, board meeting of November 20th. You have them to review. I entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as read.
Second.
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item you should have are the bills. A couple pages long, 4 pages, 4 sides. Should have had those for your review earlier, so let's take a motion to pay the bills as presented.
I make a motion to pay the bills as presented.
Need a second? Okay, I'll second. Discussion?
I've got a question for our citizens.
Well, I want to second it first, then we'll have a discussion.
You seconded it, I thought.
I was about to say discussions, okay? So go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you. I just picked these up this morning, RSM, and I was gone all day. My daughter's over in Vermont. And I see there's some annual payments on here, and I've got a good idea what they're for, but since it's abbreviated, I'll ask you. It's a total of $157,000 annual payments, probably retirement.
That's correct.
Okay, and we're making a payment there for the police department of $16,000. Is that going to be the last payment?
Probably not. Because they estimate based on the salary. So this, I'm not exactly sure what this bill. This bill here is based on previous salary. So you're probably still going to get another one next year. But I'm sure it's going to be lower than that.
All right, thank you.
That's it. Thank you. No further, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Madam Clerk, do you have some correspondence?
We do. We have 2 things this evening, and the first one is for information purposes only from Thomas and Elizabeth Bellotti filing for a liquor license for the restaurant, Restaurante Casa Capitano, and it's a part of the process of the liquor license. It has to be notified to the board. Second thing is a letter from Montgomery Hoseck and Ladder. Dear Mayor and Village Trustees, each year the members of the Rouses Point Fire Department holds a children's Christmas party. This includes a visit with Santa, fire truck rides throughout the village, and goodies for all the boys and girls. This year the event will be held on Saturday, December 9th, commencing at noon at the Rouses Point Fire Station. Once again, members are requesting approval from the village board to allow us to provide fire truck rides for those in attendance. We thank the board for their support over the past year, and we wish everyone a most joyous, healthy, and happy holiday season. Respectfully submitted, Dennis Roberts. So we need a motion to approve it.
We need a motion to approve the Christmas party by the Rouses Point Fire Department.
I so moved for the Christmas party on the fire station.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, madam?
That's it.
Let them know.
Yes.
And it's Restaurante Casa Capitano. It's nice to see them moving along. They're doing a lot of work on that, and hopefully get this license and move on. Be able to open soon. Okay, the first thing we have is received this from organization that puts this out every year, asked us to issue a proclamation on School Choice Week. It says, whereas all children in the village of Rouses Point should have access to the highest quality education possible, and whereas the village of Rouses Point recognizes the important role that an effective education plays in preparing all students in the village of Rouses Point to be successful adults, and whereas quality education is critically important to the economic vitality of the village of Rouses Point, and whereas the village of Rouses Point is home to a high-quality public school from which parents can choose for their children, in addition to families who educate their children in the home. And whereas educational variety not only helps to diversify our economy, but also enhances the vibrancy of our community. And whereas the village of Rouses Point has many high-quality teaching professionals in all types of school settings who are committed to educating our children. And whereas School Choice Week is celebrated across the country by millions of students, parents, educators, schools, and organizations to raise awareness of the need for effective educational options. Now therefore I, Daniel Turner, do hereby recognize January 21st through the 27th, 2018 as Village of Rouses Point School Choice Week, and I call this observance to the attention of all of our citizens. And I will sign that You guys have any comments on this? I imagine you probably agree heartily with it? Or not?
Yep.
Okay,
I'm for it.
all right, so we'll move forward with getting that prepared, it'll look better than the copy that you have, if you have it. And we'll get that all done. Okay, thank you. The next thing is the volunteer interior fighter fighters cancer disability insurance. The New York State Legislature passed this law, Senate Law 1411B, New York State Volunteer Firefighter Gap Coverage Cancer Disability Benefits Act. So in order to qualify this, a volunteer firefighter must have served for at least 5 years as an interior firefighter, and the evidence is by passage of the mass fit test, which is required for interior firefighting each year. The volunteer has to successfully have passed the physical exam. The volunteer firefighter, if the volunteer firefighter develops a disease caused by an uncontrollable division of abnormal cells, malignant growth or tumor affecting the lymphatic or hematological systems, or digestive, urinary, prostate, neurological, breast or reproductive systems, or melanoma. Those are the cancers that will be covered. A volunteer who meets this eligibility requirements is eligible for the following disability benefits. You're eligible for a lump sum payment of $6,250 or $25,000, depending on the severity. May be drawn from a pool of $50,000, which is available if there is more than one negative diagnosis over the volunteer firefighter's lifetime. If the firefighter is totally disabled, a monthly benefit of $1,500 payable up to 36 consecutive monthly payments. And in the case of death, the firefighter's family will be eligible for an accidental death benefit in the amount of $50,000. The funds received by the volunteer firefighters' insurance payments for cancer benefits shall not be subject to New York State income taxes. And this act will take effect January 1st, 2019. So we've got another year before it goes into effect, and the treasurer tells me the insurance will be about $250 per participant. So I have an email out to the chief to get the number of certified interior firefighters, so we'll know when preparing for budget time what it's going to be. But it's state law, so our firefighters are going to have that interior firefighters that benefit. And if you want to read the whole law, I have it. I copied it out just to in case anyone was interested.
I'd like to see that after.
Does that cost us anything?
$250 for the insurance per fire.
But all the firemen aren't interior.
No,
No.
that's why it's
Two of them, right? Like a handful?
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
8 or 10.
Yeah.
But I don't know for sure, we're waiting for the response from the chief of police. I sent him an email
Yeah.
about 10 days ago. So,
Isn't much of a benefit though. I mean,
Well,
better
it's
than
very-
nothing, but I mean, you know, you get cancer and you get $1,000 or something, it's, you know.
well, it's, it's a little more than that.
Well, it's up to 50,000, but I mean,
Well, yeah, and it's for many different types of cancer
Yeah.
too, if you listen to it, so.
no, I saw that, they,
So anyway, I mean, it's what the law is, and
yeah,
we're glad to
let's
see
do whatever
that,
we can, yeah.
coming along. All right, thank you. We have an update, or I have an update on Wyatt, also known as Pfizer. Received a letter on November 16th that went to a wastewater treatment plant operator because it dealt with the industrial permit, user permit that Wyeth is no longer gonna need. And a second one, which was sent to the Division of Environmental Enforcement Compliance Assistance from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. It's regarding a notice of cessation of pharmaceutical manufacturing. So it says, be advised that pharmaceutical manufacturing concluded on October 17, 2017 at the Rouses Point, New York, Wyeth Pharmaceuticals facility. Our current plan to record is to close the facility in early 2018. They met with the village and we have set up termination of their significant industrial user status and modification of their industrial user permit So we can remove the requirement for sampling analysis and reporting of parameters that are covered by the pharmaceutical effluent guidelines. And that would be testing for acetone and methylchloride. So there's no more manufacturing being done at Wyatt. It ended October 17th, so they're in the process of shutting everything down, and they plan to decommission in 2018. Now, been talking about this for a while. First time about a year and a half ago I mentioned this. So just kind of give you an idea where the numbers are. Our total village taxable value, our total assessment is $128,173,000. Now, Wyeth assessed value is $14,750,000. Just the land is assessed at $2,074,000. I'm rounding things off. And our village tax rate, as you know, is $4.50 thousand. So our total village tax levy is $577,866. And I know you're familiar with that figure because we went over it many times when we were talking about the police department. So the total that Wyeth pays in taxes at their current assessment is $66,391. Now, depending upon what Wyeth does, if they continue removing the buildings like they did with the newest ones, well, obviously that $14 million assessed value is going to go down. The land value is going to stay the same. I would not imagine they're going to take down every building. So we really don't know yet what it's going to be. But we're not going to lose, the $66,391 that they pay in taxes. We're still going to be getting, a significant amount of that. And again, it accounts for 11.49% of our tax levy. So we'll see once the final decision is made, once the buildings, they decommission what they take down, then we're going to be able to have a better idea after the assessment where we're at. But, in terms of tax base, well, I think we're in pretty good shape. We're like I said, we're not going to lose a total $66,000. We're going to lose a portion of that, and that all depends upon how many buildings come down. The land's going to stay there valued at $2,074,900, so $2,075,000, and the total assessed valuation of $14,753,000, if they remove buildings, is going to go down. But that's where it stands for this fiscal year. Now, you also know that they are a big user of our utilities and produce the revenues. Our utilities are paid for by the fees and costs of using those facilities. Wyeth used over $1 million in electricity. However, again, a lot of that is money that we use to pay for that electricity. We have to buy it, so that money's included in there. We have to buy the electricity, we have to pay the wheeling charges, which is using the lines that are owned by different people. We have, the rate goes up and down every month. We never pay the same thing every month because it's based on usage. So, we're not going to have to replace, $1 million plus in electric sales because we're not going to be buying that much electricity. So, again, that seems like we're in pretty good shape. You guys will remember that in the last 2 audits prior to this year, our electric department showed a loss of $400,000 each year. That included depreciation. This year it shows a loss of $22,000 to this point. We're supposed to be getting a rate of return of 3.4%. We're still losing money. And we need to get it to where we're at least even. And we need to do that sooner rather than later, now that the shoe's finally fallen, we know they're closing. You also know to do that, we have to have a rate study done by our auditors, or that group of people, and they would submit that to the Public Service Commission. And over the course of 2 years, the Public Service Commission would determine what the rate should be to get us a 3.4% rate of return. When we were losing in the $400,000 range, the auditors estimated it was going to be less than a penny per kilowatt hour. I mentioned that to you guys, and we were gonna do the survey. Now, I know the board has been totally against doing this study. $17,000, which will be recovered through the rate of return from the electric utility. And again, it takes 2 years. In other words, we can't raise the rates, which we haven't done since 1982. We can't decide we're gonna raise the rates. The Public Service Commission decides what that rate's gonna be, and it's based on getting us a 3.4% rate of return. So I think you all need to think seriously about authorizing the study to go forward. The money was in the budget, we moved it into the general fund, it easily could be moved back to do this, but I think it's something that I'd like you to consider and research over the next couple of weeks, and see if we, if it's dead in the water, we'll know in the next board meeting. If you guys think it may be plausible in light of, we knowing that Wyeth is going to shut down, has stopped manufacturing, is going to close the place up. I refer to it as Wyeth, by the way, because in Mr. Champagne's letter, who's the managing director, he says, in addition, Wyeth Pharmaceuticals anticipates changing its name from Wyeth Pharmaceuticals Incorporated to Wyeth Pharmaceuticals LLC. There will be no change in ownership or control of the facility, but they still call it Weiser, although it's a subdivision of Pfizer. Or they, Wyeth, even though it's a subdivision of Pfizer. Weiser, it is
Still
Weiser.
call it Harris.
So anyway, you guys, and I'll mention this to Trustee Menard, since, he could not make it tonight. I know that through no fault of his own. But I'd like you all to, once again, do the research. I provided you guys with the information a year ago at least, and we still didn't have a date. Now we know what's happening, and we know we're going to have to, again, we're talking about probably less than a penny per kilowatt hour. So it's going to make, might make $1 difference on an electric bill. There's no spike, there's no giant increase anticipated, but it's 2 years before we've even known. And because they give us a figure, does not mean we have to implement it. There's no forcing the village to do it. It just gives us the opportunity. Without that, we have no opportunity. And you're always gonna be 2 years behind the curve if you keep putting the rate increase off. 35 years without a rate increase is, I guess, commendable, but you can see we kind of got behind the 8 ball a little bit on it, and now we're going to, we're not going to have to buy as much energy, but we still have to maintain the same infrastructure that we do now. So, anyway, something for you to consider. As far as the water and sewer, we mentioned before that that amounted to a little over $800,000 for those two utilities from Wyeth. Obviously, we're not going to have to supply that water, and we're not going to have as much wastewater to treat, so the cost will go down marginally. As you know, over the last couple of years, we've had modest increases in the water and sewer rates of like $2. It's something we're all going to have to look at and discuss prior to the formulation of the next budget to decide if we're going to continue that, small increases to try to make sure we're covered as far as the expenses for those two utilities are. And again, we can look at these. I'm going to send you this spreadsheet, which just got today, and you guys can look at it, and I think we should plan on at in the next few meetings before the budget. We got a wait before the budget comes out, but we should start thinking about what we need to do with the rates. If they, just kind of looking at where we are. When you have the numbers in front of you, I think it'll be better. But I think what we've done in the last few years, we've been able to soften some of the blow of this, and, you know, I don't think we're in for any drastic change in the tax rate. You know, we may go to the tax rate cap, we may not. I mean, it depends what the budget comes out. We've had a couple of major expenditures cut off from our tax levy in the court and the police department. So, you know, we'll just have to work the numbers. Bottom line, Wyeth stopped on October 17th, and they intend to close up during 2018, which is what they've been saying right along. So, is there anything you guys, that maybe I have here that I could answer any questions you have?
On the electric,
Yes.
of the $1 million that they buy of electricity, what is our profit, so to speak, on that? When I say
We're
profit,
losing-
it's not a profit per se,
Our
but
rate of return is minus 3.1%. We're losing money. We have been for 3 years.
that's not quite the way
Well,
I'm
it's,
asking the
well, it's
question.
based, I mean, I'm talking about, we don't figure a rate of return on individual users. We do it on the electric department.
Right.
So I don't have a number for you.
All I'm saying is like, if we buy $1 million worth of electricity, and factored into that is probably like, you know, $50,000 or something that we make to be able to provide the electricity, our operating costs. That's what I'm trying to get at, is how much of that we're gonna lose, because that cost is probably gonna stay the same even without them.
We're not gonna need to buy that much electricity.
No,
Well, the 50,000?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was going to try to sit with our treasurer and go through, here's how many kilowatts they were billed. And then, you know, try to look at total kilowatts billed for villages. We have 1,286 electric accounts. But the bill each month varies so much, depending upon, you know, the usage. Sometimes we don't get a wheeling charge from somebody for 1 month, and next month we get one for $40,000. You know, so it's constantly changing. We've got the Rex and Zex and all these other things that have come along, so it's kind of up in the air and like that, and we're gonna have to drill down pretty deep, and you know, trying to pull a number out of the air, and, you know, I spent a little time with our treasurer trying to do that, say, you know, really, how much do you think that of this $1+ million in charges is really, do we pay for already? How much of that is electricity we buy, and how much is it that we don't? But it would be a pretty intensive search to try to go through each month and try to figure out what, you know, what the bills were for that.
well, the simple way to get a handle on it is take the electric budget minus the power that we buy and the wheeling charges. And then say, okay, if we bought, let's say we bought $5 million worth of electricity from Power Authority, and the electric budget was, say, $200,000 for operating costs. They're 1/5 of the 5 million, so presumably 20% of the 50,000 would be, or 200,000 operating costs we'd be losing.
Well, we have a,
That's.
I mean, that's what I was trying to get at with our treasurer, and we just had a little while to sit and
Mhm.
try to find a way to do that. That's exactly what we're trying to do, but because of the vagaries of the billing, it makes it's cloudy. It's gonna take some time to sit down and go through it, but, what I wanted to be able to provide to you guys was, definitely we have the fact that, you know, Wyeth has stopped manufacturing, they did on October 17th, and, you know, they're not discharging anything, it's done, and they're doing the decommissioning now. So, I mean, there's still a few admin staff there, they're probably gonna be there until the end of this year, and then it's gonna be the decommissioning people that do it. And they have not given us, and they don't have to, and I don't expect they will, say, here's a chart of what we're gonna destroy or demolish. They're gonna have to get a demolition permit, I believe. Mr. Sterling, do they need that?
No.
They don't need a demolition permit?
Not till they demolition,
Pardon me?
not till they actually start decommission.
That's what I'm saying. Do they need one then?
Yes, they
They'll
will.
have to come to you with a plan.
Yes, they will. Just like the last part of the building that they took down, they would have to get in that asbestos report first. Is what they did, which they paid for that, and then they get the demolition permit, which the
Does
village
the
made.
demolition permit outline what's coming down?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so we'll have that information once they do that. So, you know, we're ahead of it now, we know what's coming and what's going on, we just need to drill down the numbers and be conscious, you know, be aware of it, so that's where we are on that. It's, we knew it was coming, and here it is, and I don't think we're in that bad shape. Okay, we did receive one bid for the chemical skid unit. We're rejecting that bid because it was a single bid and it was about twice the amount we anticipated. So what I need to do is ask for a motion, or make one, whatever you want, to re-advertise these bids and do it for a 2-week period. This is based on a response that we got from our engineer, who recommends rebidding and providing this 2-week window to try to keep a better response rate. As you know, when there's a short time and companies are bidding, they try to guess about things that they can't get prices on, they try to throw it in there. And so it generally bumps up a little bit. So if we give them 2 weeks, they won't have to worry about covering themselves so much, and they can give a more accurate number. They can always ask questions regarding the installation, and that usually results in better pricing. So I'd like a motion to authorize the village clerk to re-advertise this bid for a period of 2 weeks. The time being a period of 2 weeks, and instead of 1 day in the paper, we put it in the paper 3 days. It's probably gonna cost $100. But I think it'll get out to a wider group, and we have to receive more than one bid in order for this to be competitive, so.
I'll make a motion.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, could I have, could somebody make a motion to reject the bid, so we can have that?
I'll make a motion.
So it's not good enough for you to just.
We need to have that.
I make a motion to reject the bid.
Thank
Okay.
you.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, man, thank you for that, that's rejected. I feel rejected now if you told me that. Now, I believe trustee Arnold, or no, trustee Batha made a motion to authorize you to re-advertise a bid for a period of 2 weeks and to do it 3 separate times in the paper.
I'll second that.
Okay, further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that is carried.
Is it gonna be a little bit longer because of the holidays and stuff like that, probably, or?
Well, I think if we go now, it'll be before Christmas, so, and I think they're looking for business, you know, I think they know they didn't get it in, even though they wanted to, but they just couldn't, so we were told.
Thing we have to do, Mayor, is, if we do it for 2 weeks, it's not gonna be 2 weeks from today, it's gonna be 2 weeks from a couple of days.
Right,
from
whenever
now.
it starts.
And then there's some
Right.
holidays, so what I would suggest is, whatever the date the clerk picks is the end of the 2 weeks, that we have a special meeting to review those bids at that time, rather than wait. In other words, it won't meet our next meeting, it's gonna be the meeting after that, that'd be a
Right.
month, and I'd like to get this wrapped up in like, as quick as we can.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think in our rush to get it done, we kind of pushed it a little bit, but now that we have the 2-week period, I understand what you're saying, and
Yeah.
certainly when we reach the deadline, we'll contact the board and see who's available for a meeting, and we can open them then.
Yep.
Okay, good. So, good news are, we now have another certified grade A water operator at the water treatment plant, so that's a positive thing for us. I know that under the clerk is a report on the parade of toys. I wanted to take some time to thank our village clerk, Ms. Bowmill, for making this whole thing happen. She did everything from make Santa Claus's chair to go and buy the hot chocolate and cookies. She was a busy lady for several weeks, and, you know, I understand that she may get some help next year. There were some offers from a group that, I'm not gonna put her on the spot now, but hopefully that'll happen. But I wanna thank you, and I know it was a big success, and I'm sure you'll talk about that, made front page, so that was good. So Donna, thank you. It was really, really excellent job. And finally, the CP Rail Christmas train came as a result of that. The St. Patrick's Food Shelf acquired 600 pounds of food, a little over 600 pounds. And through the generosity of CP Rail, a $4,000 check. And we collected additional $35 in cash at there. So another success, and the food bank, which is always at this time of year critically needed, was replenished. So thank everyone who participated, and certainly was a benefit to the village. All right, I'm done. I'll pass it on to Trustee Arnold.
Okay, I only have two things. The fire department is expected to get their truck Saturday. Their new truck from Dayton, Connecticut. And they're driving it up here. The people down there are driving it up here, so it don't cost no expense for us.
Great.
So,
They went down and looked it over.
yeah, looked it over and stuff, and it's gonna go through the test this week and stuff like that, so.
Okay.
And the other thing, I'd like to thank the village crew for doing, up the railroad station, the ice guards on the roof. It looks excellent, and they did a good job putting them on.
Great, we got those on there.
Yeah.
Before it snowed. Of
Yeah.
course, it may not snow till, I don't wanna say, probably tomorrow.
Now, are we just doing an experimental thing, or did you figure out one that's gonna do the whole deal?
No, it's
Yeah,
done.
it's all there, it's all done.
We
All
did
done.
it staggered and
Staggered.
smaller and smaller
Okay.
pieces.
Yeah, so the water run off and all that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, Trustee Dart, you have anything? I have nothing. Okay, Trustee Bernard did call me, let me know again, he couldn't be here, through no fault of his own, but he did not have anything. Trustee Batha?
No, I have nothing.
Okay, Madam Clerk, do you want to tell us about that parade of toys?
I do. We had, we handed out approximately 80 to 90 goodie bags. I have no idea how many people were there. It didn't seem like as many as last year, but it took longer. The library handed out over 100 books, which was very nice. And I would like to thank the village crews that developed the lighting. It turned out really
Oh,
nice.
beautiful.
Water plant helped do some of the decorating, and I had a couple of helpers that night. Robbie Roberts came with his tractor trailer all decorated.
That's pretty good.
And he was stopped on the side of the road. The sheriff's department, fire department helped with traffic control. It seemed like people had a good time. It was well received. Exhausting, but well received. The kids had a great time this year. Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus and Joy the Elf all had a great time, so.
That's great, yeah, I know, like, I didn't want to say it before you did, but the village crew, the water plant personnel, when they had time, decorated the gazebo with the lights. They helped in the garage, making that special little North Pole. The electric crew did a great job on that gigantic tree, and replaced bulbs, a lot of things. It just was a magical looking night, and I know the children enjoyed it, so did the adults, so thank you. And take a deep breath, it's 364 days, or 4 days till you do it again, or 3
Right.
days. I know, and the treasurer said he really wanted to get involved more next year.
He helped, the treasurer helped
Oh,
me
he wants to, he
decorate.
said he just wants to really get into it.
Okay, all
We're gonna
right,
get
I'll
some
take him up on
curly
that.
shoes and some pointy ears, and we all set.
He already has that stuff.
Whoa. Does he wear that to work? Ever get on that?
Oh, you ever seen
him
him on
yet?
the Knights of Columbus float there? He has all that stuff.
Okay, Mr. Administrator, do you have a report for us on a position you've been researching?
Yes, sir. Mr. Pelkey and I have gone over job duties that are needed in that department, and have made worked with civil service to create the new position duty statement of what we're looking for. That's been submitted as of today, so it should be a few days when we hear back what position they've determined for us. We think we know what it'll be, but we have to wait for their determination, and then from there, once the position's created, we'll advertise it.
So once we have the position approved by civil service, we can announce it.
Yes.
Okay, so, I don't know if you guys are, want to now make some kind of a motion to say, once the position is, if it is approved by civil service, we can author it, well, we have to post it internally first. You can do that, you can authorize that to be done if you want, or you want to wait till after the holiday, it doesn't matter.
I think we should post it as soon as we can.
Everybody agree to that? We'll make a motion that if the position is approved by civil service, that it be posted per our guidelines, first internally, and then if it has to go in the paper there. So who's gonna make that, Tom, make that motion?
Okay, yeah.
You got a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion on that? All right, thank you, appreciate your time. Mr. Treasurer,
Couple items. The first one is we received a check from the New York Municipal Insurance Reciprocal. That's a consortium that's through NICOM, our insurance is with them. 5 years ago, when we joined them, we had to pay a capitalization cost for 5 years. And they just sent us a check for $1,904.08, which is a refund of 1/4 of our capitalization costs. And they said we will be receiving an additional 3 checks upon the renewal with them. So we paid a total of $7,616 in capitalization cost to them to join this program, and we're gonna get that capitalization cost back.
great, well, we knew that when we signed up for retirement, right, so.
I didn't think we were getting it back.
Well, you never think we're gonna get that good back. But that's great though, that's,
And the other thing was, as I mentioned the last board meeting regarding the disability insurance, I did get 2 quotes. I got one quote from our current provider, which is a large agency. That's Shelter Point Insurance. Their annual premium is $14.04. I did receive another quote from Burnham Financial, who handles our health insurance. Their quote was from a company called Arch, and they have an annual premium of $12.54. So it's a savings of $149.74. It's a 10.6% savings. The current proposed benefits is the same as what we have now: 7-day waiting period for accident and sickness, 2 times the salary to $340 weekly max, and a 26-week benefit. So I'd like permission to switch carriers effective the first of the year.
so are you looking for approval of one of those?
Yes.
Okay, make a motion that we accept the award bid from Burnham Financial for $1,200 for the disability coverage,
I'll make that motion.
okay?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, go ahead and do that, sir.
And that's all I have.
Thank you.
So we're not gonna lose no benefits whatsoever.
Said the same
It's
exact.
just a disability, it's the same exact coverage. Just premiums.
Hey, Mr. Felke, do you have anything for us?
Just an update on the water plant. Our welder is back from being on vacation for 2 weeks. The pipes were cut and brought over to him today. So he's gonna be welding up our pieces that we need to fabricate and get that second pump together and online.
Okay, good to hear. Mr. Sterling, do you have anything you want to talk to the board about?
No, sir.
Okay. I'll open the meeting to our public. Have anything to say, Mr. Cooper?
No, sir.
Not today, okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?